Brendan Fraser's personality has been causing some unrest among certain people lately. After a long hiatus and almost complete obscurity, the actor suddenly triumphantly returned to the peak of fame, receiving an Oscar for Best Leading Actor. Nevertheless, apparently not everyone was pleased with this. Thus, the return of this bright representative of the so-called old school stirred up a whole swarm of ill-wishers. Hello, it's More with Stars and we're starting. Before we begin, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. It's easy for you, and it's nice for us. Let's go. Supposedly, last week they tried to discredit Fraser's Oscar for one ridiculous reason, but now they've come up with another one. Fortunately, it seems that Fraser's Hollywood colleagues have grown tired of this situation, so they have suddenly supported the actor. In short, the situation is very interesting. Let's discuss it right now. In a nutshell, the actor was a true star in the 90s, a recognized heartthrob of the big screen with all that entails. But then, around the mid-2000s, he simply disappeared from view, limiting himself to inconspicuous roles. And it lasted for almost 2 decades, until the beginning of the 2020s, when people started cautiously remembering Fraser again, which eventually culminated in him receiving an Oscar for Best Leading Actor in the film The Whale. But, as we now understand, despite the general rejoicing and joy that the undeservedly forgotten actor got a second chance, certain people were extremely negative about everything that was happening. Last week, we already talked about how Fraser, who played a 270-pound man in seclusion, trying to repair his relationship with his daughter for the last time, was criticized for supposedly taking the role away from a real fat actor. Well, like The Whale authors were supposed to find a guy weighing 600 pounds somewhere in Hollywood. And not just any guy, but a cool actor who could play such a complex role. Then somehow organize the filming process with him. Although with such weight, I can't even imagine it. And then they would have been handsome, but now it's like, oh, horror. The filmmakers made a suit for Fraser that imitates his character's otherworldly weight. And so they selected the role. It's unclear whose idea it was, but according to this logic, Brendan himself was unworthy of an Oscar and so on. All of this sounded like complete nonsense, like when you're unprepared for an exam and have to come up with something on the spot, and in the end, it turns out to be a complete failure. So after unsuccessful attempts to criticize the actor and, not formally, but essentially, take away his Oscar, the haters have come up with a new approach. The point is that in Whale the actor played not only an incredibly obese person, but also a gay person. However, Brendan himself is not gay. For example, at the Oscars, 3 of his sons from a previous marriage came to support their father. And the point is that, as we know, it is not very accepted nowadays for LGBT characters to be played by non-LGBT actors. As we discussed last time, this scheme only works in one direction. For example, Hunter Doan plays any role and no one says anything to him, but when it comes to a straight actor playing a gay character and even winning an Oscar for it, many people start to worry seriously. Even before receiving all the awards, many criticized the director of Whale Darren Aronofsky for choosing Fraser, a straight actor who wore a so-called fat suit, instead of giving the role to a real overweight gay actor. Again, where can you find a 270-kilogram gay actor in Hollywood capable of playing at Fraser's level? It's unclear. But there were still many dissatisfied people. And after the Oscars, their numbers increased dramatically. And then Fraser himself, as we mentioned earlier, a bright representative of the old school, took and blurted out some nonsense that the orientation of his character was not that important after all. I quote, "Charlie is much more than just gay," Fraser said. He is a father, he is a teacher, he is a seeker of truth, and that he hopelessly fell in love with someone is irrelevant. Of course, many immediately howled, what? How is it irrelevant? Have you gone crazy? This is our identity. Well, in general, everything is similar to the previous attack on Fraser regarding the fact that he took away the role from some ephemeral fat actor and even won an Oscar for it. At that time, the soap manufacturer Dove was seriously concerned about the situation. It is unclear how they are even related to Oscar and all of this situation, but Dove was demanding fair representation. Well, Dove got what they wanted, but the criticism from Fraser and Aronofsky did not subside. Now, the LGBTQ+ community is protesting. Here's what one of their publications writes. Frazer's dismissive comments reflect the constant tension around LGBT phenomena and history. At this point, it has become something of a cliché for actors, writers and directors to claim that their characters just happen to be gay to the extent of their history. And it's a way of saying that LGBT people are just like everyone else, but the idea that queerness can be incidental to a person's life. Ignore the lived experiences of LGBT people who exist as a marginalized group in society. To say that Charlie's orientation is not essential to his story, to who he is, suggests a huge blind spot on Frazer's part when it comes to understanding what it means to be gay. His comment points to one of the reasons why some LGBT people argue that straight actors should not play these roles. A gay character in a game should include more than just the option to choose a different gender as the object of desire. In short, if you've listened to this whole rant until the end, congratulations to yourself. The point is that Frazer seems like a normal guy, but he still doesn't understand what it means to be gay. And he took the role away from an LGBTQ+ actor, and so on down the line. Agree that we've just heard something similar, and here we go again. The strange sequence of accusations specifically towards Brendan Fraser, as if his sudden fame is disturbing someone quite influential. Nevertheless, his colleagues have finally come to his aid. No, they didn't start defending Brendan or somehow fitting into this particular situation, but after their words, for example, those said about Fraser by Dwayne Johnson, it seems like the haters of Brendan have no arguments or desire left. The fact is that not everyone may remember, but The Rock began his career by playing a role in the movie The Mummy Returns, together with Brendan Fraser. And now, Dwayne, one of the wealthiest and most in-demand actors in the world, paid tribute to his former colleague and mentor. A really cool full-circle moment here with my dear friend Brendan Fraser and his sons, Dwayne Johnson said. My very first Hollywood movie was The Mummy Returns, where Brendan was the star. At that time, many critics and cynics bet against me, but Brendan took me in with open arms and was so supportive. I never forget good people. Now, years later, Brendan gets his well-deserved Oscar for Best Actor in The Whale, and I'm known for wearing a fanny pack. Congrats, brother, enjoy the fruits. The Rock summed up. Thus, Johnson made it clear that despite being a newcomer and an outsider, as many thought, he received all the necessary support and understanding at the time from the already established superstar Brendan Fraser. Additionally, another longtime colleague of his, Alicia Silverstone, recently spoke out about the possibility of a reunion. When asked if she wanted to return for the sequel of the 90s film Blast from the Past, in which she starred with Brendan, she replied, "With Brendan. I would do anything with Brendan. It was so much fun." And finally, the well-deserved legend of cinema, Helen Mirren, also expressed her unconditional support for Fraser. Mirren shared that she shed tears of joy when her friend Brendan Fraser won the Oscar at the 95th Academy Awards ceremony. "I'm sure you know how handsome he is. He's a magical person. He was clearly very moved. It was a huge moment for him," said the legendary actress. "He was the right person for me." So, as you can see, Fraser now has the unconditional support not only of the audience, but also of his Hollywood colleagues. And I think such a team won't be beaten by any haters. What do you think about this? Be sure to write in the comments, we'd love to hear from you. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss anything interesting. Until next time.